and welcome to Love and the Planets for the full moon special, November 2018. I'm Armand Diaz on Long Island.
And I'm Margaret Gray in Dublin. And goodness, the evenings are kind of getting so dark in this winter time where we are. And which is kind of, in a way, it's interesting because the full moon always feels almost bigger and brighter, I think, when it's so dark from so early outside. So it feels like it stretches right out. Now, this is kind of an interesting full moon, isn't it, Armand? Because it's a full moon in Gemini, obviously opposite the sun in Sagittarius. So when we're looking at relationships, we're really focusing more on friendships and, as we were talking earlier about siblings, family type relationships, maybe even neighbors, people we might work with, rather than really directly love relationships.
Yeah, I would say that's a reasonable assessment of it. It is a Gemini full moon, so that it's not a gooey full moon. It is a supercharged full moon, however, because Jupiter is essentially conjunct the sun and opposite the moon. That will supercharge it. And if we want to throw in a little extra thing, well, actually two extra things. One is that Mercury, the ruler of Gemini, is retrograde. And the other is that Neptune is going to station to go direct just the day after this full moon. So I'm thinking it's a carnival type of atmosphere. Not quite sure what you're seeing and what's going on, though.
I'm wondering, really, my feeling is that the core theme is really about our thinking patterns, our communication patterns. And, when you and I were chatting earlier, you were saying, it's really not a great time for communication because the Mercury retrograde is squaring Neptune within a few degrees. So there could be a little bit of confusion. There could be also with the Jupiter anyway. It's not that we want to lie with Jupiter, but things are not quite what they seem. We can exaggerate very easily. So, and with the Mercury Neptune, there can also be a tendency to maybe just not quite relate things as they are. So probably not a good time to get to the bottom of things. There could be some exaggeration. So communication is very key at the moment. Basically, really to beware of communication.
Everybody is going to be over-exaggerating tremendously. Nobody... Oh, wait, that's what you're talking about. That's what you're talking about. Yeah. No, I don't think this is a good time to try to get a message across. But you know what? It's fine to say you're not going to get the message across. You're not going to try to communicate. But you know what? You're going to be listening to others' messages as well. And there's also an opportunity, how you interpret things, how you take in the information is another area where you're liable to run into trouble. So, you might think you hear something and you might think, wow, that must mean, and it may not mean what you think it does.
Well, it's like, when people, when there's a circle of people and you whisper something into the first person's ear, by the time it gets around the circle, it's completely different. So there's a real risk that can happen. But it could be a good time to maybe let go of some old thinking patterns that aren't helping us about relationships or about people in our lives, because we all form these opinions, which are really just opinions. So some of that, letting go of that. Also, an interesting thing is that, of course, Venus is now direct and it's going to be squaring the nodes. It continues to square the nodes, I should say. We've had this square, this grand cross really in the sky with Uranus, Venus squaring the nodes for quite a long time. But this time, Venus is direct. So in conjunction with the full moon, maybe there might be some movement forward in our relationships because, we've really been a little bit stuck, I think, for the past few months. And so maybe the full moon, because of the conjunction, the sun conjunct Jupiter, might inject a little bit of energy into contacting people.
It's sort of a little bit of a leap of faith type of thing with Jupiter there and Venus finally direct. And, over the next couple of weeks, we're going to have Venus making, for example, the opposition to Uranus one more time. But, it was going forward, retrograding, and, things that have been up in the air since September, even late August. As we get into the beginning of December. And I would say beginning with this full moon, things can start moving a little bit. The only thing that leap of faith is with the Neptune station. If it's something you're sure about, yeah, this full moon is definitely the time. If you're a little hesitant and you think, well, maybe this would be great, not such a great time.
Also to remember that Gemini is one of the dual signs of the zodiac, and when we think of the twins, there's the light twin and the dark twin. So there can be, although Gemini is kind of appears to be light and kind of playful, there is that side to it, but there can also be a deeper side. And so with full moons, emotions do come to the surface. So don't be surprised if different aspects of you may come up, and maybe some shadow aspects, about yourself, about people in your life, because there's always the potential with Gemini for either twin to come to the surface.
Margaret, we might also mention for our listeners, viewers in the U.S., this is happening over Thanksgiving weekend. Boy, what a day to have the Neptune station on the Black Friday with all the madness and stuff like that. But a lot of stuff could come up at like holiday dinners and things like that. Gemini is also the sign of siblings. So things could really get a little out of hand. And with Neptune stationing, and it's the holiday, so some folks might tend to over imbibe. And, while having a couple of cocktails is not a bad idea, doing a little too much of it and then, blurting something out and missing, that whole scenario is a real possibility.
So really what we're saying to people is really take care of yourself, and maybe watch out for communication. Don't take communication too seriously, because there may be exaggeration there. So, take a lot of deep breaths, keep grounded, as we keep saying, but particularly with this full moon in an air sign, keep grounding, keep your feet on planet Earth. Very, very important. And also don't forget to go to our website, because we are filling places fast for a 1-year course in the astrology of relationships. So if you'd like to know more about relationships and how astrology can help you, don't forget to go there. And of course, we've changed also our format of our recordings. So we do our once a month recording. So if you want to know all about this month, do go to our Facebook page, and you'll see our recording pinned right there at the top of the page.
And we'll be back for the December forecast at the end of November.
Absolutely. Have a great week. Bye-bye, Armand.
Bye-bye.